So my physique isn't too bad right now. I put on around 10 kilogram last year in the past kind of like 8 to 10 months. So this is basically a lower body workout at home you can do just to incorporate some different exercises and training methodologies into your current training. So first thing is first, I like to warm up just with a little bit of gentle movement, get the legs warm, get the hips open, stretch out my hamstrings a bit. And a fun way of doing this is just by moving. In my case, I'm just using a heavy bag to move around, throw a few kicks, mess around. Nothing serious. Don't kick hard, don't stretch super hard, just a bit of dynamic movement, just playing around, get the heart rate up a little bit, and just stretch out your legs and use those muscles a little bit there. Now I'm just finding an open space, making sure my quads are still there because I have been vegan for 11 years, don't want those to disappear. And I'm just doing some squat jumps, just trying to explode on the way up. Get a little bit of kind of synovial fluid warmed up in the knees there, just so I can take a bit of impact and just kind of get used to driving through the knees a little bit. I've had issues with my knees in the past, so I just find a few jumps is quite nice just to kind of warm up there. And I'm just doing a sissy squat here. Again, my knees feel good, just move through the range of motion, I might as well. And then just stretching out the hamstrings a little bit with a couple of movements here. Now, I like starting with compounds, so my first exercise here is going to be pistol squats. Now, the only issue with these pistol squats, right, is I find my knees quite far past my toes, meaning there's more tension on my patella, on my knee, which I'm not a big fan of. I'd rather hit the glutes a bit more and then hit the quads with an exercise I can control a bit more. So yeah, I'm just doing a few pistol squats here, but now you'll see how I swap them out by using a rope essentially, so I can lean further back. So by holding on to something like a rope here, you can also use a chair. I find that I can kind of like push my chest further forward and keep my knee a little bit further behind my toes compared to a regular unassisted pistol squat. And this is just quite nice, I find, for that mind muscle connection and really trying to hit a nice balance of the glute and quad rather than just being quad dominant here. So after a good set or two of regular pistol squats, I like to move on to some lengthened partials. So essentially doing a partial rep in the lengthened position here. So I'm not pulsing or trying to bounce. I'm going to where my muscles are the most stretched and just trying to control these. Looking at the video, I could probably go slower on the way down on the eccentric. But because we're not resting at the top, it's a lot more intense per rep. And on top of that, there's new research showing that you get just as much muscle growth by doing the lengthened rep as opposed to doing the full rep. So intensity wise, quite fun to chuck in. So one of the disadvantages of not using a gym is that you don't have the variety of exercises. So I was feeling it a lot more in my quads and not so much in my glutes. So I thought what I'd do is just use the rope again, go for some full range pistol squats, but really try and push my hips backwards here, using the ropes for quite a bit of assistance, just so I could try and hammer on the glutes a bit more there, and it worked quite well. It was definitely feeling kind of a lot more balanced by doing this at the end of those sets. One of my favorite exercises, whether we're in a gym or not, is the reverse Nordic curl. So my legs are completely flat on the floor. I'm making sure to push my hips forward so my torso is flat onto my quads, and I'm trying to push through my feet. So this is essentially a full range of motion leg extension, you know, the machine you use in the gym quite a bit. The benefit of this is we can keep your hips pushed forward, so you're actually using more of the quad than you do on a leg extension machine. So it's a very effective exercise when you do it correctly. I'm using the ropes here just to help me through the range of motion where I find I do get stuck a little bit. And yeah, as you can see, it is very intense and you get way more range of motion on this compared to a leg extension machine as well. The only limitation is mobility and comfort, so keep that in mind. So I've tied my ropes into a loop here because, again, we have limitation from not using a gym. I want an effective hamstring exercise. So I've created a loop here. Ideally, the loop would be a fair bit lower, just by like a foot or so. I'm going to put my heel in this loop, make sure my hips are up and being pushed up as I curl the heel in. And that's essentially going to be a hamstring curl that you can do at home. Now, this is not optimal. You know, I'm not getting a full range of motion. I'm not folding at the hips, so I'm not getting the full stretch on the hamstring. But in terms of things you can do at home for hamstrings, this isn't a bad option, and it is still pretty intense. And you are still in that lengthened position there. Granted, there's not much stretch because you're not leaning forward, but it's not a bad exercise. You just have to make sure you keep your balance by keeping your weight in your elbows or hands either side of you, and you try and keep those hips up. And to finish up, I just love throwing myself about a little bit because I used to do parkour, so it's what my legs are quite used to. So I'm just doing some kind of like frog hops here. Again, just nice for burning out the quads a bit more. You might feel it a bit on the calves, but because we've hit the quads quite hard today, they'll probably be going first. So yeah, just pulsing with these, trying to keep strong form just until you feel a burn. Then I like just going for some jumping lunges. Or lunge switch jumps. I definitely feel these in my glutes the next day, and just alternating between the two of these exercises I find can be a solid end to a fun dynamic session.